Welcome to Here to Serve, a United Regional podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Graves. My favorite part of being the Director of Patient Experience at United Regional is the incredible people that I meet and work with on a daily basis, and I want you to meet them too. Join us to meet the people behind the badge and to highlight those who are here to serve. Manny, welcome to the Here to Serve podcast. Glad to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so first, I got lots of questions I want to ask you today, but first, tell me who you are and what you do at United Regional.
My name is Emmanuel Carrillo. I'm a PCA at United Regional in the resource department. I'm also a full-time student at MSU in the nursing program, and then also a professional boxer on the side.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. I have so many questions about that. But resource PCA, how long have you been doing that?
Going on 2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
Okay, and that's long enough to seen some things. Been around for a while. Yeah, a couple of years. And how far are you in nursing school?
In nursing school, I have 3 semesters left.
3 semesters.
Yep.
Okay, and where are you doing that at?
At MSU.
MSU. Okay. I want to come back around and get a little bit more about what pulled you into nursing, but so you got 3 semesters left, PCA, resource, professional boxer.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I want to talk about that first because I have some questions. We'll get into healthcare stuff. How long have you been in boxing?
Since I was in diapers.
Since diapers. Okay.
Yep.
Is it a family deal?
Yes, sir.
Dad was a
my
boxer?
father was a boxer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was kind of born into it.
You were born into it.
Yep.
I was in a non-creepy way. I looked you up yesterday and watched. I actually ended up middle of the night last night. I woke up and I think the storm woke me up, and I was like, oh, let me do some. I know I've got a podcast today with Manny. I want to look him up a little bit, and I pulled up one of your most recent fights with Zayed. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Zayed. Great fight, by the way. I was hoping something would put me to sleep, and then I got into the fight, and it was incredible, man. It was so impressive. But I saw what I assumed was your father in the corner,
Yep.
and I recognized him locally. I don't know him personally well, but I recognized him. So tell me about your dad.
Oh, my father, he's a general manager at Sam's Club. He's been working there longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also my coach. I mean, been in my corner all my life. I'm gonna be there for the rest of my life. So he's been at every single one of my fights, and definitely one of my role models in life.
Yeah, I hear so many. I don't know him personally, but shout out to him. I hear great things about him from the community, and I know he does a lot. Clearly for you, but also for his team at Sam's and just for the community in general.
Yeah, definitely.
I see him doing great
I
work.
always say all my family's always in my corner. You have my dad in the corner during the fights, and then sometimes you can hear my mom outside. Sometimes I can hear her more than my dad.
That's awesome.
She's my biggest cheerleader almost.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, my mom's the only person that watches this podcast, I think. So it's good. Nothing to be nervous about today. Family, this is a family deal. Did his dad box? Or,
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, happy Father's Day to your dad. It's coming up this weekend, and that was cool to see. I was watching the fight. I saw him. I thought, man, I definitely know that guy. So that's awesome. So tell me about your boxing career. So started. Is it professional now? Have you moved to the professional realm?
Boxer, yes, sir.
What does that journey look like?
It's been going for forever now. I wasn't always a good boxer starting out. My dad just kind of put me into it. I always say I was a nerd growing up. I wasn't always like the most athletic. I'm still not the most athletic in my family. My siblings are more athletic. I'm just good at fighting. Mm-hmm. But I was always like, not that I ever got bullied or anything like that, but I did look like a little like dork.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad,
easy target.
Yeah, something like that. And my dad, he was a boxer himself, so he wanted me to get into it. And we actually, I started boxing whenever I was living in Amarillo. When I was younger, I was about 6 years old, and he started me, and I started training, getting ready to compete. I started competing at 8. That's the youngest age you can compete for USA Boxing, and started off there. And I did not start well. I was 0-8 starting off my career, my amateur career. I had 8 losses in a row. I always tell like all the little kids whenever we're in the gym, they feel down if they take a loss early. I'm like, nah, I didn't win until my 9th fight.
Yeah, man, that is incredibly powerful to know that. So I want to come back to this, but what's your current record?
My current record, as a professional, I'm 6-0.
6-0. Okay.
Undefeated currently.
So people see, undefeated. People see those see those successes in life and they go, man, this guy's 6-0, he's never lost. But you're telling the story of, listen, I was 0-8
Yeah.
when I started, right? So I had to, is that right? 0-8?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So man, that's powerful that you had to keep going, keep pushing. Like but you know, that's awesome. I love that. So with your father coaching, where do you guys, where do you train out of?
We train out of Rival Falls Town Boxing.
Okay.
It's off Old Iowa Park Road.
Okay, I've
like a
seen
little-
that on the way home. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little hole in the wall gym. You wouldn't even realize it. There's
Yeah.
about 5 national champions, 3 undefeated boxers that train out of that gym right now.
Man, that's incredible. The pride of Wichita Falls. There we go, right there. So from amateur, so you go 0-8, right? What started turning it around for you?
Well, you know, you gotta be determined, but also I think I'm stubborn as well.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
always
a good trait.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know, I kept going. I wanted to get a win, and then from there on, it just started a lot more wins in the column. So just kept going, kept training, and you know, it teaches you a lot about being determined, about being disciplined as well. You gotta be disciplined in order to succeed in the sport, and I think succeed in life as well.
Yeah. No,
Right.
you're exactly right.
I always tell the kids too, you know, if you're not training, they'll have some where they're slack a little in the gym, where you know they're off doing other things, and they get into like sparring, and they get it handed to them.
Yeah, he's right.
And I'm like, you know, it's because you weren't putting in the work. You have the other person across the ring from you that worked harder than you, and it's the reason why this happened.
Yeah.
And I tell them, you gotta love boxing. If not, boxing not gonna love you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you know, they remind me of something my dad says all the time, and I'm sure he got it somewhere else, but is you either pay now or pay later, right? Yeah. And so he gives it with the example I've heard my father give many times, and I try to apply it to my own life is everything's hard, but you get to pick your hard, right?
Yeah.
So training's hard, losing's hard, you know, like which one matters to you? Or, you know, you could even go and say like, hey, being married is hard. Being divorced is also very hard.
Yeah.
It's like you get to pick where do you put your effort in. Like being healthy, staying fit, it's really hard, right? Not taking care of your health and getting sick is also hard. So you pick like up front. I love that. That's such a great lesson. Is like if you put the work in.
There's a quote Muhammad Ali always said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, suffer now and forever live my life the rest of my life a champion.
Yeah, suffer now. I love that. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I wish I could remember, like I remember the quote, but I can never remember who said it. But I want to say James Clear from Atomic Habits. But basically one of the things he said is you put off what you want now for what you want most. Man, that just applies to all of life. You know, let's go finances for a second, right? I can spend that money right now eating out, or what I really want is financial freedom for my family. So I can have what I want now, or I can have what I want most, and it's an everyday tough choice, man. So I want to come back to that. That 8-0 is tripping me out. I just think that is so cool. I'm sorry, 0-8.
Yep.
You lost 8 fights in a row and kept training. Like I think a lot of people would have just been like, "Hey, this is not for me."
Well, most like fighters that start out, you know, an amateur career in our gym, some have like. They'll lose their first fight, and you know it takes a lot off your confidence.
Yeah.
And then some they'll lose 2 in a row, and that's it. We won't see them in the gym again sometimes, or they'll pop back in every now and then, but they won't compete. So a lot, you know, it deals with that confidence. But if you're determined and that's what you want, you'll keep on going.
Keep going. Yeah. And that's just a universal life thing right there, man. It's like you just got to keep going and I think when folks ask me often, I'm doing coaching or training or teaching or anything like that, and I do it in a church setting, in the organization setting, and just in life. Many times I'll be asked like, "Hey, what leadership books do you recommend? What books?" I always start with The Tortoise and the Hare is my favorite book.
Yeah.
Because the tortoise always starts slower and the hare is always way ahead, but the tortoise just like keeps going. You know, it keeps going, and that's who ends up winning, is the one that can just be consistent and stay in there and just keep going. Man, that's awesome. I love that. I know we'll cover some other good stuff today, but I just I love that you started out with 8 losses in a row, but just kept going, and then turned it around. So
Yeah,
man,
tell a little one. I mean, I started out 0-8, but I finished my amateur career a seven-time national champion and two junior Olympic gold medals, and I was ranked number one in the nation.
that's incredible, man. Incredible. It's not how you start. It's not how you start.
That's how you finish.
Tortoise wins every time. It
Yep.
just keeps going. Just keeps going. So say that all those accolades again. That was so much. I need to keep up with it. So seven-time national champ.
Seven-time national champion.
And what does that? What does that mean?
So USA Boxing, they hold national tournaments every year, and
Okay.
those are the best of the best in the nation. Some of
Yeah.
the top boxers in the nation. I say even right now, like starting my professional career, I think I fought better boxers in those national tournaments because a lot of those boxers I competed against are world champions or some of the top contenders like I
Yeah.
am right now in the professionals.
I've heard that, and actually, it's funny you said that. I was watching your fight this morning, and one of the commentators actually said that. He talked about how it's harder to just be an amateur national champ than even to professional. So, what do you have to do to move into being professional? Is there a certain amount of wins you have to have, or you just say, "Hey, I want to try my hand in professional"? What does that
Yeah,
look
there's
like?
actually you can just say, hey, I want to be a professional.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that turn professional. I don't believe they should be professional
Sure.
boxers.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, you risk your life whenever you get in that ring.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It's
you
you versus someone that's getting paid to beat you up.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love. I'm a fan of the combat sports in general and martial arts. One of the reasons I love martial arts, and specifically, I've been competing in and teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. I think something like around 20 years. My favorite thing about it is that the mats don't lie. Like you can't either. You can say you're a professional, right? And you're going to get in there and then you're going to find out if you are or you're not.
Yep.
And first of all, not a professional in jiu-jitsu at all. I'm a total hobbyist, but I have a lot of fun with it. But the mats don't lie. Like
Yep.
when you get out there in an actual competitive sport, whatever the sport is, boxing, it is what it is. So you can say you're professional, but
Well, my thing is, I know a lot of guys that are start out professional. They don't got a big amateur background, but you know, between the work they put in the gym, I mean, it comes into fruition whenever they step in the ring. And I tell everybody, when you're in the ring, if you didn't put in the work, I mean, this sport's it's just you. You don't. It's not like in soccer or basketball where you can have a bad day, but your teammates can be there to lift you up and win the game for you. If you have a bad day in the ring,
yeah,
you're gonna have a bad day.
yeah, it's rough. It's a rough go.
So if you didn't put in that work, you didn't put in the work in the gym, the miles on the street and stuff like that. You step in the ropes. I mean, the only person that's gonna save you is the ref,
Yeah,
and that's just because you're getting it handed to you. So
yeah.
that's the only person that you can you can't call a timeout. You can't try to depend on someone else. It's just you or them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that having that mentality. That's why, again, I mentioned I love the martial arts 'cause I think it teaches you such good lessons. There's a lot of power in that that mentality of nobody's coming to save me, right? I got to put in the work. I got to, and there's an authenticity there. If I've put in the work, I know that no one's coming to save me. I think if you look at your whole life that way, and we're gonna transition here in a second into healthcare, right? I got to do the work, right? If I want to be successful, if I want to keep my patients safe, if I want the organization to be what we want it to be. There's no shortcut. There's no way around it. We got to do the work, right?
Yeah.
Me personally and the organization, we got to do the work. We got to show up because I think there's an easy. I'm always really careful, like not to speak in generalized terms about everyone, but I see more and more a lot of folks kind of move toward this idea of somebody will come save me, right? Somebody else will do it. Somebody else's fault versus no, this is up to me. Like I gotta figure this out. Like I don't have people around me helping me, but at the end of the day,
It falls on you, and
Falls on me.
whether
Yeah.
you want to succeed or not. You can't be gifted everything in life. You gotta be able to
Yeah.
earn something.
yeah, boy, I love that. Well, let's talk healthcare a little bit because tell me from boxing, you've been boxing your whole life, right? What drew you to say, hey, I want to work in healthcare and be a nurse? Tell me about that.
So, like I said, I was always a nerd. I always took all the advanced classes. All my friends were always, and like I wasn't a typical boxer. So most boxers, they call boxing the poor man's sport.
Yeah.
That's his nickname because boxing gyms ain't never in the best neighborhoods. A lot of the boxers
Right.
don't come from the best neighborhoods. They don't have the best background. And Fortunately, I was blessed to have that kind of background. I mean, I was able to do good in school. I had a great set of parents that were able to raise me and, help me whenever I needed it. And at the same time, I always tried my best, not just in boxing, but also in school and academics. So, like, in high school, I would always volunteer, do different things. My dad actually, he had me volunteering even when I was from the time I was little, and I never even realized it.
That's
He
awesome.
had me helping out with the Children's Miracle Network and Hotter and Hell 100, doing stuff like that, and it looks good on the resume now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I never realized it, and so it translated into whenever I started growing older and doing more things like that. I worked heavily with the Café con Leche organization at MSU. They do a road to college program every summer, and I would volunteer as a mentor. I do that throughout the whole year, and the summers I would have like my own class and help out younger ones, and it you get a good feeling of giving back, and I
Yeah,
developed these relationships with a lot of these young students and stuff like that. They would put trust in me, and it feels good.
yeah, it
You're able
does.
to it's fulfilling. But knowing the kind of lifestyle that I like to spend money and stuff too,
Yeah,
and I knew if I wanted a career, giving back, helping, I was like trying to think, education doesn't always have the greatest pay, but you know what, healthcare,
yeah,
that also does pays good, and you
yeah,
also get that fulfilling and the fulfillment of
yeah,
giving back. So
yeah,
that's kind of what steered me into that. And then also too, I needed a plan B
yeah.
because boxing ain't forever.
Right, right.
Yeah, I can only box for so long.
Sure.
My body ain't gonna allow me to fight all my life, and I don't plan on fighting all my life.
Hmm.
It's a brutal sport.
It's brutal, brother. I can see some marks on your face from
Yeah.
sparring yesterday, right? Maybe not on the camera, but I can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not something one can do all my. I already have injuries, like I have torn cartilage in both my hands. Sometimes it
Hmm.
hurts to steer my truck when I'm driving and do other things, because you get pain, wake up sore, feeling rough from the day before.
Hmm.
So you can't do that your whole life. And where I'm eventually get old, and I need something to fall back on.
Yeah,
And then two, you never know. You never know how boxing's gonna go or how life's gonna go.
yeah,
I could get in a wreck one day and lose my ability to box. So I need
right.
something to fall back on
Yeah.
and, be secure for my life.
Man, I think that's really, I love that answer. It's really wise. It's very pragmatic. It's very wise. But there's also a component of, hey, I wanted to do something that would, that I could give back to. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you 100% if I look back at, it's funny, we just met a few minutes ago, we're just getting to know each other a little bit. We have so much in common, which is really interesting. But whenever I was trying to decide what did I want to do, I remember having a conversation with my parents about I had similar things. Like I enjoy working with people. I enjoy the way it feels to help people. And so I was kind of looking at what are the options out there in those fields where I can be helping people.
Hmm.
And to be honest, most of them don't pay very well. And so I'm like, ooh, nurse. I like science. I like helping people. Pay seems pretty solid. Like I liked where this, and we started exploring that
Yeah.
space. And then of course once I had an illness in my family, and my grandmother I watched her get care in a facility, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. Is watching these folks help my family. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the path I'm on. But we're very similar in that I was a PCA all through nursing school. I worked according to PCA, and lots of memories there. So that's really cool, man. So let's talk about. I guess I got so many questions, but let's start here. Let's talk about the dichotomy, or the some people would see like it's kind of odd to be like, okay, I'm a combat athlete, but I also want to help people. And it is not odd to me. Totally makes sense to me. But does that ever cross your mind? Do you get
Yeah.
asked questions about that?
Patients ask me all the time because
Yeah.
they'll ask me questions about what I do and stuff like that. And I'm like, I hurt people, but I also help people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It very two different aspects of
Hmm.
life, and I think it balances me out.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of stuff that I do in the ring. It's you wouldn't expect of me if you see the way I work in the
Hmm.
hospital.
Hmm.
At the hospital, I mean, I'm on PCA right now. I can't, give meds and stuff like that. So like my deal in the hospital is I at least try to make my work environment, happy.
Right.
Like
Right.
between my patients, the staff, I want to help them. I also want to help patient, at least put a smile on their face. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not much I can really do with the patients or in the rooms and stuff like that. But if I can at least, make them feel better,
Yeah.
that I'm succeeding at
Yeah.
my job.
No, you are so right, and I'll just tell you, don't undersell yourself there. And I always thought the same thing, but the more I'm in healthcare, the more I see the power of presence, like not just in how they feel, but there's good data now on the patient's actual outcome, like their clinical outcome is clearly we have to give the right medications and do
Yeah,
the right things, right? I'm not taking away from that, but their outcomes are very much tied to the presence of the people around them. So
definitely.
just your presence, your joy, your smile, like being there, makes it really does make a difference, not only how they feel, but their outcome. It's pretty incredible. And I will say, I watched your fight early this morning, and I could tell you were having a good time in there, man. You were smiling. You were like, I was like, this guy loves this. And like,
Yeah,
when I
I
was
love what I
watching you,
do.
I was watching you love it. Well, and it's really cool in that environment, you love it, but then also in the healthcare environment, you love it. That's why
Yeah,
I gotta, when I send out these podcast episodes, I'll always say, hey, let me know if there's somebody you think we should have on. And I got a call that said, hey, do you know Manny? I said, I don't think so. And I might know if I saw him. We have a lot of people that work here. And they said, you need to have this guy on. Like he embodies what we do, and he's a boxer, which is unique. But more importantly, like he cares about this organization. He cares about the patients. Like you should really talk to this guy. So you came highly recommended, and I can see why. Like you have a passion for both of those things that you do. I'm a big believer in I have no issue. And again, I've had a lot of questions about this over the years with being like into the combat sports, and specifically I compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is not punching, but it's choking, right? We are choking and arm locks and those sorts of things. And I always said, like, look, this is with an agreed upon opponent. We've both agreed to do this. We're not trying to actually like physically, like, put this other person in the hospital or anything like that. But we've agreed on a rule set, and we're going to challenge each other big time. And there's the possibility somebody gets hurt, but but there's something that you learn so many lessons in that, so much of the grind and we talk about just not quitting and losing and the physical ramifications of it, that I think it applies to everything else in life. And I think it is a good balance.
yeah. There's a certain degree of respect you gotta have for the person stepping in the ring with you.
Yeah.
If you see at the end of the fights, I always go to my opponent's coaches. I go up to my opponent, I shake hands with them, give them a hug. It's I don't have no ill will towards them.
Right.
It's just
It's a
respecting
sport.
me. Yeah, it's a sport. Yeah,
It's a
at
sport.
the same time.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time at the hospital it's the same way. Like, I go in, even if I had a bad day the day before, I come in, patients don't deserve to be treated like
Yeah.
treated any differently.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything to me. And you know what? They're in the hospital. They don't want to be there any more than I do.
Yeah.
So I at least gotta, help them feel better, make them feel better. If I can get them to laugh, that's all I ask for,
That's awesome. I love that. So tell me, well, I mean, we've kind of covered some of this, but I may not have said all of it. What are the things you learned from, or any lessons learned from your career in boxing that are helping you in nursing school or helping you in the healthcare setting?
Oh, definitely in nursing school, because like I said, like in boxing, you don't love boxing, boxing ain't gonna love you. And it's the same. It applies to all aspects of life, and especially in nursing school. If
Yeah.
you're not putting the work studying, putting in the books,
Yeah.
you're gonna see that reflection on your exams and in class. You're not gonna know what you're doing. You're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And I failed already before. I failed a class in nursing school. I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, same way I failed in some fights in boxing where I've lost. And the way you just learn from it. As long as you learn from it and you know what you can do going forward,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I love that. And you're gonna get it. Talk about I say the mats don't lie or the ring doesn't lie. I will tell you, when you hit that bedside, when you hit that first time on your own, when you're released as a nurse,
Yeah.
all that work, like it's not you. If you've done the work, you're gonna be all right. And if you haven't, it's like, oh, this is rough. And so getting put out there will expose you, right? If you haven't actually done the work, you're going to get exposed if you haven't studied hard. And so that was always super motivating to me. Is I need to pass these tests. I got to get through nursing school, which my gosh, was anybody that all my nurses out there will immediately go like, or anybody that knows and has a nurse in their family, they know nursing school is brutal. Okay, it's brutal.
I tell everybody, I've never been more stressed on boxing has never stressed me more than nursing school ever has. Yeah, nursing school is definitely one of the hardest thing I've done. Even I feel like boxing, even though I've not always been best boxer or whatnot, it kind of came a little natural just because I've been doing it for so long. Nursing, man, that's something different.
It's hard, man. I would look back and say it was definitely one of the most stressful times of my life for sure. I was getting through nursing school, and so putting in that work pays off so much down the road with your whole career, but also just keeping patients safe. What we were wanting to do is keep patients safe and be able to care for people. You can't do that without putting in the work. But you're also not only going to nursing school, you're boxing during that. So I think you move your schedule around a little bit for your bouts. Did you tell me earlier that you actually had a bout during nursing school one time and it was pretty rough?
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I was the main event for a professional bout, and it was a lot of work because professional boxing, you don't just go in and fight and that's it. You got to deal with also the business side of that, and you got to deal with all that stuff. And on top of that, I'm having to study. On top of that, I'm having to train. On top of that, I'm having to lose weight so I can make weight, and it's a whole big ordeal, and it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Now on top of that, I'm having to work too.
Yeah,
I got
for
bills
sure.
to pay.
Yeah, that's
I got bills to
man.
pay.
So you try to stack them in the summer as much as you can.
Yeah, I try to. You say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't imagine. Nursing school was brutal. So throwing that on top of it doesn't sound like a good time. But good for you, man, for just embracing it and getting it done and putting in the work. That's really cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, really, really cool. So one last thing I wanted to ask you about. Let me go back. Anything else from boxing that carries over to healthcare? This is one thing I definitely want to ask you about. One of the things I try to instill in myself and in others, especially in the healthcare setting, is the ability to stay calm, right?
Yep.
To just take a breath and stay calm. So I can only imagine, like in boxing, you've had to learn that skill of staying calm.
You know how you were watching my fight and you said I was smiling and doing a lot of that stuff? Well, within the fight, within boxing, you kind of want to bring the emotions out of your opponent because that's when they start to mess up. A lot of people say, oh, when I fight, I see red or I get angry. Nah, all right. That's what we want. We want you to get mad because that's when you make your mistakes.
Yeah.
So in the ring, that first round, he started talking to my ear and saying stuff like that. So we started, chatting back and forth, and that's when I started trying to get in his head, taunting, doing a little bit like that. And I don't normally fight like that, but it worked.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to adapt.
Right.
And I think keeping that calmness too, like you said, as long as you're able to stay calm and keep your mental right within the fight, you're able to succeed. And I think that's the same for whenever you're in the hospital, you're in a healthcare setting. You're able to stay calm, you're able to think straight. It's like when a code happens, if you're able to keep your cool and not get real frantic and worked up, which I had my first code a while back, and it was
it's intense.
It was intense. Yeah, I had that experience where I had my first code, and when it finished, I was like, man, I should have done this. I should have I messed up here, and not luckily, but 20 minutes later, I had a second code where I was able to see, learn from the first one and do better on the second one.
Yeah.
And
incredible.
And it was crazy frantic, but at the same time, you're able to learn and adjust and keep that calmness. And
you went 0-1, but then you got it on the next one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
I remember I was beating myself up. I was like, man, I should have done that. I should have ddone this. Been here. And, well, 20 minutes later, all right.
Try again.
Yeah.
You mentioned that keeping control of the emotions. Man, I think it's a great place to wrap it up. One of the things I spend a lot of time teaching new nurses, and I'll probably, when you graduate and come through, I'll probably spend some time talking. If you're in the room, I'll be like, hey, Manny, tell us about this. But I always try to explain, especially, maybe it's not a code, maybe it's just communication. That's when I see a lot of people get worked up. If somebody says something to you that upsets you, right?
Yep.
and you get that, people get that heart rate jumps, that adrenaline jumps, the pulse goes up. And the moment you have an emotional response, all of your tactical thinking goes out the window, right? The moment you get emotional about it, you quit thinking clearly, you say something you shouldn't say, and now this situation escalates because both people are emotional. And so I have to be the one that keeps my emotions in check, takes a breath, slows that heart rate down so that I can think clearly and have a good outcome here, right? It's easier said than done, which is another reason I love the combat sports, because I think it teaches you, you're in a bad spot, slow down, breathe, think, right? Don't get emotional. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, you got a fight coming up, right?
Yes, sir. August 7th in El Paso.
El Paso.
We broadcast it live on television. You'll be able to watch it here in town at Buffalo Wild Wings, at Barbaritas. A couple other restaurants will have it on as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, man, we're super proud to have you in Wichita Falls, but more proud to have you at United Regional, and looking forward to seeing what happens in your career, man.
Thank you, sir.
We're all rooting for you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.